What is up, my fellow parents? Hey, some movies are so good they deserve a part two. That's kind of what Disney's doing right now, Jordan. It's like they can't think of new ideas. We're like, oh, let's just do a Moana 2. Let's do a Frozen 2. And I don't know
Yeah,
if
true.
episode 1 of Power Struggles was so good, but that topic is so needed. And so Jordan and I were talking to everybody, and we're like, let's run it back. Let's do some more skills around Power Struggles. Let's do a sequel, part
Well,
2,
I mean,
Jordan.
yeah, I think, we got a lot out of it, but it was like you're at the end and you're like, wait, I'm just getting into this. I need some more. And so that's where we're at. That's why we're doing a part two, because you were just getting into some of the juice and
The
it was
juice.
so helpful. And now I'm like, I'm ready to squeeze this bad boy out, but I need a little bit more.
The word struggle is a great word. I did a little Googling on the word, and it led me to some movies. Because if you think about some of the world's best movies of all time, they're actually based on struggles, right? So when you think of a movie, everybody, with like a great struggle, what do you think of? Here's a couple ones that I think of, right? I think of this amazing movie called Into the Wild, which is based on a book called Into the Wild by John Krakauer. And it's about this guy just wanders in, true life story, into the Alaskan wilderness on this adventure. The Walking Dead, I never really got into, is about this post-apocalyptic zombie world where people are trying to survive in a struggle because zombies are attacking them. When you think of some struggles in movies, Jordan, what do you think of?
I think more like parent, kid movies. So, relationships. So the first one I thought, I was like, what about old school, like Free Willy? Like Free Willy. They adopt this kid. Free Willy. They adopt this kid. He's troubled. He doesn't get along with his adopted parents, and he's rebellious. And he goes out and he does his own thing until he finds his relationship with this whale, because his parents just don't get him. And his parents had to come and like really adopt this idea of like allowing this kid freedom to go out and do what he wants to do. Or like another kid. What about something as simple as Little Mermaid, where this dad, King Triton, is like so overbearing, so many rules for all the daughters. And the one daughter's like, I don't want to have these rules. I want to go do my own thing. So then she makes a deal with the evil sister of King Triton, Ursula, and loses her voice. And then ultimately has to go and find it again. But sometimes it's like these overbearing, rule-driven parents, and these kids can't figure out a way to live in that realm. So then, unfortunately, they have to go out on their own, and it could be bad or it could be a good thing.
Dude, you just blew my mind right now. I asked Jordan before the podcast. I texted him and say, hey, can you think of some movies that have good power struggles? And I just thought of I couldn't think of any like parenting stuff. So I thought of Into the Wild.
That's a great one.
I thought of The Notebook.
The Notebook.
The Notebook. That's one of the best love stories of all time.
That movie.
I love The Notebook. I was crying at the end. I thought of Titanic, Romeo and Juliet.
Okay, you're going more love story. I like it.
You thought of The Little Mermaid, dude. That is a brilliant.
Or what about Finding Nemo? Right? Nemo.
Oh my, dude,
Nemo's dad has all these rules. Marlin has all these rules, and little Nemo's like,
he's living.
He's so afraid.
Yeah.
Right. And so, little Nemo goes and touches the big butt, also known as the boat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because he's so curious.
Right.
And his curiosity, and man, just keep it going. Anytime you think of a movie, you're really good at this, right? So it's like, let's talk about the psychology of the dad.
Well,
What's the dad's name?
Moana also. Moana is a power struggle. They don't want her to leave the island. They don't want her to know about their past. They don't want her to know that they're explorers until she finds out, and then she has to go off on her own.
Man, this is good. The way Disney makes these movies is they highlight this hero's journey, of Moana going off on her own. And they highlight she's the hero of the story. Right. They highlight even like Anna and Elsa. They talk about how Anna goes off into the woods all by herself in the snow to go find her sister. And they make it sound really good. We're all rooting for these characters. Go, Ariel, go. But they actually don't ever show the parents or the family members back at home.
Yeah.
Who are heartbroken.
Right. And that's your thing too. The way they
crushed.
The way Disney makes parents look in these movies as like the evil, the bad guy, which
that's
maybe sometimes there are.
I thought about that. Right. So no one ever showed Triton sitting up like at nighttime, crying or
Right.
self-doubting himself. What have I done? Am I to blame? Have I screwed up this kid? Have I lost her forever? Is she going to die? Is it my fault? No one ever shows, Moana's family like sitting there praying together. Please help us. Like,
Right.
what
Bring her
should we
back.
do? What have we done? Like the guilt and the shame, like what could we have done differently? That is real life. They don't show that on Disney movies. I don't know if I'd want to watch that movie, dude.
You know what I do like though? There are some of these movies where like the parents swap bodies with the kids. Remember, I think there was one with
Right.
Jennifer Gardner called 13 Going on 30. Um, there was one, Zac Efron, 17 again, where he goes back in time. And there's another one out there. I can't, Freaky Friday, I think is another one, but
Freaky
it's where the
Friday.
parents
Yeah.
become the kid and the kid
Yeah.
becomes the parents. And then they really get to share the ultimate power struggle and come to a realization of what each person is going through. The parent sees what it's like to be in high school again, and the high school kid sees how stressful it is to go to work and provide for a family. Those are good ones.
Okay, I'm just blown away at how you're using movies to you're taking me in a really good way. You're taking me to another planet right now. Like you're just really helping my mind think about what we're going to do in this episode. I actually wrote those movies down. There's actually a podcast that I recorded a year or two ago, which you can find, which is how I think I entitled it, how a body swap movie genre
Oh
is
yeah,
a parent's dream. It's something like that, because like to
really.
your point, it helps us. If we could body swap with our kids, it would help us to better understand them, their
Right,
world, their minds, their
right.
temptations. And that is just really brilliant what you just said. 13
And
going on 30, 17 again, Freaky Friday. Go ahead.
I think that's your point too, is when you're helping giving us, tips when it comes to power struggles or anything, it's for
Hmm.
us to kind of see the world through their eyes instead of us
So
trying to
good.
show them the world through
Hmm.
our eyes.
Which is, which is oftentimes ineffective. And if you think about King Triton or I guess was it Moana's dad? I don't remember his name. I
I
mean,
don't
they
remember his
had
name
good
either.
intentions, right? They're raising these daughters. They're like teenage daughters.
Right,
They know how dangerous the world is out there, and they're
right,
saying, "Don't go. No, this is the rule." But
right.
rules without relationship leads to rebellion, and sometimes you've got to parent the child you have and not the child you want. And I'm not trying to give Triton's parenting advice right now, or Moana's dad. But in a perfect world, I guess what you would say, like if he came to me and said, "Hey, man, I need some parent coaching. What's going on? My daughter. Well, yeah, what's up with your daughter, man? She's a firecracker. She wants to go. She wants to go beyond the reef, and
Right,
like she doesn't know what I know, man. I've had three
right.
uncles
It's
die.
dangerous.
My
Yeah,
grandpa died. Like we don't know what's out there, and she won't listen. I feel like she's going to go rogue and she's going to like sneak off with her friends and run away. What
yeah,
do I do? And I would say, look, this is an example. You've got to parent the child you have, not the child you want. I mean, you got to
right.
be flexible here with this Moana you have. Like your rules just are your rules. She doesn't care about your rules, and you're about to find out. Like
Yeah,
you just can say rules. It doesn't matter. Like everybody, some people are rule followers, some people are rule breakers, and you're Moana. She's a rule breaker, dog. So we
but
got to get creative.
I think from a parent's perspective is we're driven by fear because we know what could happen, and so we worry about that. Then we
Yeah.
jump to an extreme movie called Taken, where Liam Neeson knows the dangers of the world. His daughter
Yeah.
wants to go to Europe and she wants to travel with this band.
Mhm.
And he's like, listen, it could be dangerous. And then she ultimately gets stolen. And that's where our mind goes like, oh my gosh, they're going to get kidnapped. It's going to be terrible. But then
Right.
in the last couple episodes, you were talking about like, what are the real stats that show this? Okay, let's be real
Yeah,
here.
I was.
But so ultimately, like, we're worried about that, but we shouldn't be driven off that. So I guess as we look to this episode and power struggles, and you gave us some great tips, like 7 or 8 tips of what we shouldn't do during situations. Now I really want to know like what we should do moving forward
Mhm.
with our young ones, with our teenagers, with our young adults, or maybe it's with a significant other we're having a power struggle with.
Yeah, I feel like I'm so into all these movies that you just helped me to visualize. I want to keep coming back to the movie. I want to keep coming back to these movies. What were the movies you mentioned again that really show like power struggles. So you got Moana, Free
Nemo,
Willy, and what were the other ones you
Finding
mentioned?
Nemo, Finding Nemo.
Okay, Finding Nemo. God, you are so good at this.
Just threw
Okay,
that
what
one out
else?
there.
What else? Finding Nemo.
You were talking about the love
Um,
story. So your power struggles though were like you were talking about the Notebook,
yeah,
Titanic.
yours are better. Yours are better,
Okay,
dude.
all right.
Yours
I'm going
are
more
like
the
like you
parent
could.
side
I
power
mean, and
struggles.
I even think, yeah, like there's just if you think about it, there's so many Disney movies where it shows these heroic children stepping out into courage to do brave things, but they never show the parents back at home just scared out of their mind, self-doubting themselves and saying, "What could I have done?" So here's what.
Maybe we should come up with a new movie, man. Maybe
Okay,
we should come playwrights and write something
we
that
should. Oh,
highlights it from the parent's perspective. There could be someone out there saying, "No, there's this one," and I can't think of it that does show that. But
hmm.
obviously, there is going to be stress there and worry from all of these ones we throw out.
Yeah, yeah. So here's something I did. So I have a class that I have been teaching on Zoom for many years. It's called How to Thrive with Power Struggles. And I don't teach the class too often. Now I just really focus on this class with all of my either one-on-one clients or the parents who have joined my VIP membership. I do a lot of support with them, their power struggles with their specific kids. But what I did is that I asked people for years to take this survey, Jordan, and I
Ooh,
kept collecting answers. And the survey was really focusing on defiance and power struggles. And I want to share some of the results with you just
okay.
so you can kind of see what we're dealing with and maybe you can compare yourself. So the first question on the survey said, and I'll just read you a couple questions. What type of defiance or power struggles do you experience? Pick
Okay.
all that apply. So everyone ask yourself, what would you answer? I'm not going to read you all the options because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 15 options, but I'll tell you what the number one answers were. Okay. It shouldn't, take a guess. You'll probably get it. What's the number one thing that 76% of parents said, yep, this is something we struggle with? What's your guess?
Like curfew, freedom. Um,
No, curfew. Come on, dude. You got 10 year olds.
I
You
don't
don't deal
know.
with it's screens, dog. You know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, okay.
Obviously.
Well,
Okay,
A
so
plus
freedom
for
would
you
go
talking
into that.
about movies, but you get an F
Yeah,
for answering surveys
screens.
right
I'm
now.
sorry. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
I'm sorry. You're
All
right.
right.
You're right.
Screen
I'm thinking
overuse,
older.
screen addiction, lying about screens, hacking into parent controls. All right. Number two.
Oh
Number
yeah.
two
What
result.
am I
All
thinking?
right. What type of power struggle do you experience? Number two, 74% saying chores or chores. Struggles
Chores.
around
Really?
chores or
Okay.
to do chores or helping out.
All right.
Number three, in the 70s, which we're talking a lot of percentages, 70% is a lot. So it's almost like saying almost everybody is struggling with these things. And number three would be yelling, screaming, or aggression.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's hard.
that's hard, huh?
That's really hard.
Yeah. It makes
Screens
you
is hard
wonder,
enough.
what are they yelling about? What are they screaming about?
They're not getting their way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You tend to scream when you don't feel heard.
Yep.
Raise your voice.
Yep.
Uh,
Now, this one's kind of sad. 61% of parents, 61% said struggle that my child or teenager struggles or refuses to participate in family dinners, games, or outings. That's
oh,
hard.
that is sad.
That's the number
'Cause
four.
then what's the point of being part of a family? That is
know.
sad.
I know. It's like, and then number five answer coming at 57%. So we're looking about half is he or she ignores me, avoids me, or walks away from the conversation. So those are the top five areas. We're talking stonewalling, withdrawing. So those
Mm-hmm.
are the things. And then, of course, other things on there that have to do with school efforts, hygiene issues, drug or alcohol, drugs, alcohol, vaping was about 12%. Running away or threatening to run away was 12%. Arguments with 55%, physical or violent outbursts 13%, verbal outbursts, cussing out 25%, threatening to hurt themselves 12%, stealing from us or others 17%. So
Going back to the family dynamic, which I think was top four you were talking about. Some
yeah,
cultures, their family's everything, and they teach it from
they do.
ground up, and
Yeah,
it's amazing when you can see
it
that
really is.
foundation, and it's
Yeah,
like family this, family that. I'm going to do. In America, we're so blended. We don't have that dynamic as much.
We really don't.
So,
We really
that's
don't.
probably why that's high on the list, because there's a lot of us that don't take that as a priority.
Yeah,
Or maybe it's a
that's
broken family and
brilliant
you
color
know,
commentary right there. Let me say the same thing you just said in a different way. Brilliant. There's people listening to this right now. They'd be like, what? Parents struggle with getting their kids to go to family events? We don't do that. No way. Everybody,
right,
all the kids know once a week we go to grandma's house or auntie's house
right,
or to my
right.
abuela's, right? We go to Tio's or we go to Uncle Joey's or
Hmm.
Auntie's. This is what we
Yeah,
do. Our kids know. They don't whine about that. This is what we do in this family, right? But you're talking about how many of us, like including, my white family, that's not a part of my culture. It's
the
like,
culture.
it's
And,
not.
and it
You have to,
comes from like being in a broken family. So when you have a broken family, you're less likely to do that because
mm,
everyone's scattered. You have, memories that, make you upset, regrets,
that's
and you just don't want to be
really,
around them.
it's another brilliant point. You're just blowing me away, man, right now. Because yeah, if you're in a broken family or a blended family, then you've got 50% custody, and it's just more. It can be more awkward or
Yeah.
challenging, and to blend those families well. All right, now I'll read one more thing from the
Okay.
survey. Okay, this one you can laugh and you can cry. All right, you choose. Describe your parenting style on a bad day. That's what
Oh,
one of the questions is. All right. So this is for parents. And keep in mind, this is not for everyday parents who took this survey. This is for parents. The parents who took this survey, they signed up and paid for a class that
uh-huh.
says how to thrive with power struggles.
Okay.
So when you say 13% of kids are thinking about running away or hurting themselves, no,
Right.
no. That's
No.
just the parents who took this survey, right?
Got it.
So, all right, top answers for this. 63% of parents was the number one answer. What do you take a guess? Oh, no, no, no. No, 74% was the number one answer. What do you think they did? All right, so these parents that are struggling with power struggles, what do they do on a bad day? What's your guess?
Grab a drink.
No, I think, hold
Okay.
on, that is on
Okay.
there.
Is it on
But
there?
hold on, let's see. Hold on, let's see. I self-medicate with alcohol, pills,
Self-medicate.
drugs, food, or
Yeah.
screens.
That's low.
12%.
Oh, okay. Good, good.
I think you're joking. I think you're joking.
No, serious. All right. Yell. Is yelling on
Well,
there?
if you were serious, you actually picked that was the lowest. That was the lowest option.
Yeah.
12%. So
Yeah.
so far you got an F on that too.
Right. So if I'm parenting and I'm having a bad day,
yeah.
I immediately I'm on edge, so I'm probably yelling right away.
Okay.
I'm not
Great
calm.
guess. Number 2 answer is I yell, raise
Yeah.
my voice, scream. I get aggressive. I lose my temper. So 63% of parents said I do that.
Okay.
Number 1 answer was I argue with my child.
Oh, okay.
And that is a common thing, right? So if you think about it, there's a difference between arguing and yelling, because they can be the same. But like my mother was a good example of this. I couldn't argue with her because she would yell and she would
Yeah.
overpower me. She would scare me. She would punish
Yeah.
me. She could yell at me, but I wasn't allowed to yell at her. And so I really couldn't argue with her, because if we started arguing, then she would shut it down. Versus 74% of parents say essentially, let me just put a little salt in the wound. They're like, look, I take the bait. My kid says something that bothers me. My kid baits me. My kid draws me into some dysfunctional conversation. And, just because the circus comes to town, you don't need to join it. But I put on the makeup and the red nose, and I joined that circus. 74%. Yeah. That's 3/4, dude.
Well, I mean, one of the best advice I ever got was from a guy I used to work with, and he said, the worst thing you could do was to come down onto their level when they're in like a mood, right? So let's say the kid is arguing, and that's getting you riled up, and you want to argue back. That's the worst thing you could do. You got to stay stoic. You got to stay above that, and you got to not let it bother you.
Yeah.
So then I think of like, is it possible to not argue? Like, what if that was the ultimate goal? And like, if you look at like, let's say grandparents and a happy, happy couple, married, grandparents, and they don't they don't argue. I noticed my grandpa, he lets things fly and it's no big deal. And it's
Right.
not worth the time. It's not worth the effort. So is there a way for us parents to do that as we're trying to figure out how not to argue?
Well,
We got to
sure.
teach that to our kids.
You know what? I have a list of tools that I was going to give parents today, and this tool is not on the list, but I'm
Okay.
going to add it right now. So here's our first tool, everybody. If you're taking notes at home, write this down. It's a tool that I called "Don't Take the Bait."
Don't take the bait. Ooh, okay, because oh yeah, that's good. Because they're gonna throw it your way.
So think for a second. So my kids, all kids, they kind of bait us. They provoke us. So the reason why 74% of parents say I argue with my kid is because their kid is baiting them into a debate or an argument, and then they take the bait. They join the circus. And so we're always teaching people how we want to be treated. So if you have a kid who argues with you, that has nothing to do with the child. It has everything to do with you. You're the parent. You're the teacher. You've taught them that this is an effective way to communicate with my parent, and it works for me. It helps me to feel good and get what I want. Doesn't that kind of make sense?
Yeah. But you also, as the parent, don't want to be a pushover. You should be like, I'm not going to argue with you for sure. Do whatever you want. I'm not going to argue with you. Right. So there's a balance there. You're saying you have to be the teacher.
Well, there's a difference between an argument and a conversation. And so just yesterday, I was working with some parents inside of my membership about this topic. And I'll tell you specific things that they said, even though I always try to protect their privacy. That's why you'll see I almost never make social media videos about my membership. I never talk about them. I mean, I have success stories like coming out like every day about parents having breakthroughs. It's like 100% success rate for the parents that join. Been doing it for many years. I just try to really honor people's privacy. But let me take a chance and tell you a couple of things that happened just yesterday on the call, because I do three small group Zoom coaching calls per week with the members in my membership. They can come to all 3 a week, or they can come to none. Most come to one. And so they happen at the same times every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So this one dad, he was saying, you know what my son would say to me in this situation, because I was doing role playing with them. He would say, Dad, you just always have to be right, don't you?
Yep, that's a good one to say. I've heard that many times.
So no, can you see how that's a bait? He's baiting him. Can you?
Oh, you're saying it's a bait, but what if the dad is always trying to be like a know-it-all?
No, but that's what I'm trying to say. The dad doesn't realize that's a bait. So
I wouldn't have realized
just slow down.
Either.
Right. So why would? And then I asked him. So I asked this man. I said, "Do you understand your son's baiting you right there?" He's like, "Well, what do you mean?" I was like, "Okay, well, ask yourself, why? What have you said to this teenage boy who's 15 that led him to say that?" So, for example, let's say you would say that to me. Say it to me right now. So go say my name.
John, you just always have to be right. Like you think your way is the highway in this.
Right. This is exactly the way this teenager talks to his dad.
Right.
So the dad is then, of course, coming to me and be like, Sean, show me how to get my kid to stop saying that. He's so argumentative. And the way I'm helping this man is by asking him a question. Now, I'll ask you, if you were to say that to me, Jordan, what do you think I would have just said to you that led you to say that to me? Well, tell me. Tell me some things. What could I have said to you?
I could have maybe asked you, or maybe I could have told you something about my day, and you immediately came and tried to teach me something rather than just listen to me.
Totally. What else?
Right.
I agree. Great answer.
I could have come to you and said, I have a problem. This is how I'm handling it. And then ultimately I'm saying the same thing. You saying, well, you should have done this. Well, Dad, you always have to be the one to think that it would have been perfect if you had done it your way.
A+.
This is the way I did it.
So the dad has a pattern of kind of like criticizing his son.
Yes.
Showing him a different way, telling him that's not the way to do it. The dad really loves mentoring his son and guiding him, but he clearly does it too much, and he's not,
or in the wrong way.
And he does it in a way that's not connecting with the son. So, for example, like there's kind of a man code around the barbecue. Like if I'm barbecuing, the men No, you never give another man advice on how to barbecue. It's like it's
Right.
so disrespectful. Like you
Right.
just don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever talked about that before? How you just do
No.
not give
That's
advice
so
to another
smart though.
man?
You would yeah, they're putting in the work to freaking cook the meal. It's like,
Right.
oh, dude, you undercooked that. Like, no, come on, man. Like,
If another
you could
man
have
were to
cooked it
come up to
yourself.
me and be like, what are you doing here? You got to flip it. Or what are you doing? You got to do this.
Right.
I would look at him like, dude, we're breaking up right now, man. It's over. You just don't do that. So
Right.
there's these invisible things that happen in the man world between men, and we just kind of know to not cross those boundaries. Hopefully all men know this. And you got to teach young men about this stuff. Like you just never criticize another man's barbecue. It's just as like a way of the world. No one ever taught me that. I just realized that. So what happens here, this young man is becoming a man, right? He's 15-year-old. He's becoming his own stuff. And his dad is very successful. He's a leader. He's a business owner. And of course, he wants to teach and mentor his son. And
Right.
so, but the key is like the way you're talking to your son clearly is off because if your son is constantly saying to you, you know it all, dad. You got to look at yourself.
So in this situation, I would argue that it's both of their faults. It's not necessarily just the kid baiting the dad. It's the dad also trying to give advice when maybe it wasn't welcomed in that moment.
So the bait would be is if I were to take the bait, here's cue me up. Say it to me
Okay.
again.
Sean, you have to be right about everything. You think this is the only way to get it done.
No, I don't. Why do you say that? No, I'm just telling you that I know this would be helpful for you. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
but
like
you
you're
don't
clearly,
know. You think
yeah,
you
I do
know.
know. I can look right now and I can see you're clearly struggling with this and you're struggling with that too. And I'm your dad. This is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, but I've done that and it's not working.
No, you
You're
haven't done
trying
it.
to
If
tell
you
me.
had done it and if it was good at it, then you would need me. See what happened here? See what
Yes.
happened? These are
Yes.
just two disconnected people in their own
Right.
ego and their own selfishness, and they're in defense mode. They're just not really connected. This is a power struggle. And whose fault is it? I think it's the parents' fault
Okay.
because the 15-year-old is going to act like a 15-year-old. And that's what 15-year-olds do. They talk out of their butts. They
Right.
say stupid things, right? They say
Yeah.
like, don't tell me how to dress. I like this. This skirt that's way too
Yeah.
short, or
Right.
I'm going to do it my way. And then the question is are you going to take the bait? These little jabs that they give you, like, why are you saying that? Well, don't look at me that way. Like, why are you being so mean, dad? Like, and then you have to realize, like, they're baiting you into some type of dysfunctional response, and you don't have to take the bait. Isn't that
Okay. So let's go back and do it again. And I want you to show me how
good?
you will respond.
Oh, so this is
Okay.
exactly what I said to the dad too. I said, look, let me give you some tools for when your son baits you. He's like, yeah, because I'm realizing now more than ever, this is what happens. Like he baits me, but then he's also hopefully realizing like the way he's talking to his son is it's like he's
Right.
baiting his son. Right. So
Sean, you
here,
think you know everything. You think this is the only way to do it. Why do you always have to think you know everything and tell me everything all the time?
hmm. Oh, okay. Um, I think I, I, I think I probably just said something to you, Jordan, that maybe crossed the line. I didn't think I said anything off, but did I just say something that crossed the line? Did I just hurt you? Did I just like disrespect you?
Just disrespect you. Okay, so that was not an answer I was anticipating. But
I
I
said
would
this to my
say,
wife just yesterday.
yeah.
This is a tool I learned in even marriage books. Here's another answer. Hey, is everything okay between me and you? Did I say something to hurt you earlier?
Oh, that's good. Normally, you let the tension build to where you can feel it, and it's like an invisible wall there you don't want to cross, which is not smart.
Or
Until
here's
someone
option
shows up.
3. Hey, you know what I thought what I just said, I thought that was cool of me to say. I thought it was
No,
okay.
it's not. You
Yeah,
always
it's
try
not.
to correct
Right.
me
You
when
know
you
what?
think I need corrected, and I don't.
You're right. You know what? I need to do better at this. I thought what I was saying to you was okay. I thought it was good, but I feel like I crossed the line and I owe you an apology. Mhm. There's probably 10 other ways I could have said what I wanted to say without saying it that way.
Man, that's tough as the parent because you as a parent, you think the answer is the right answer. So you ultimately have to be like, hey, I'm right, but you know what? I'm gonna tuck my tail between my legs and say I'm my
Yeah,
bad.
it is tough. Yeah, like one way of thinking about it is just like, sugar and spice makes everything nice. Like the reason pancakes are good, but they're better with butter and syrup. So like if you say to your child, eat this pancake, eat the pancake, they're like, no, I don't like the pancake. And then you like, this child needs counseling. You won't eat pancakes. No, it's more like, no, like it's like there's no more, there's always a different way to go about things, and sugar and spice, put a little sugar and spice on your approach. And
But
that's what
isn't it
don't
like I like keeping score, and it feels so good when I give advice and I could say, "I told you so."
right.
What did I tell you last
Yeah.
week? I told
Yeah.
you so. Yeah, that demo
Right.
works.
Yeah, this is why like if you do want to mentor your kids, it's just so cool. We're just like on a total like side thing that I think relates to everybody right now. This is not even like what we planned for today, the don't take the bait. Here's another tool that comes up. You heard me talk a lot about soft startups. But here's some of my favorite soft startups when it comes to you wanting to mentor your kids or give them advice. This is often unsolicited advice. It's often unwanted advice. The older your kids get, the less interested they want your advice. The older your kids get, the less the perfect timing occurs for the timing for them to receive your advice.
Of course.
So some of my favorite things that I do with my own children, and even with the teenagers and young adults that I work with, even with the adults I work with, is work on your soft startup. So like, here's what a dad could have said in this situation, or a mom who's in a power struggle with her teenage girls' outfits quite a bit. And so this is a couple of soft openers. Hey, I'd love to run a couple ideas past you, like on this topic. Are you in the mood for that? Can I share them with you now?
Right. Now, I knew you were going to say this, and you're ultimately asking if it's okay. Is it also okay for us to say, "Hey, I know you didn't ask, but if it were me, I might go this way," just so you're getting the information to them? Because sometimes they could just say no the whole time. They might always say no. No, I don't want it. No,
Well,
no,
then you have
no.
to ask yourself, like, yeah, and this is where I was working with this dad. I wish I'll bring up his notes right now. So, like, of course, there's a time and a place for you to spit out that information, but if you do that on a regular basis, in
Right.
time, your relationship's going to go downhill.
Okay.
Second point, if you don't do that occasionally, well, then you're probably not a good, strong parent,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
You're
Yeah.
just a weak parent. You're afraid of parenting because you're afraid of getting rejected or your kid's shutting you down. You got to step
Right.
up and be like, look, I need to tell you this, right? I'm not
Yes.
waiting anymore. You know, like,
That's good. And with this dad, just to kind of
yeah,
wrap this up, everything's going well. Did he receive that well?
he did. He received
Oh,
it
good.
very well.
Because
And
it
he's
can be
really
hard.
working on, yeah. And let's have compassion, like, for this dad. Um, the dad is a business leader and he wants to help his son to succeed. That makes sense. But let's imagine that you are a dentist and you love your teeth. You're this, you have, you got beautiful women teeth and you have 3 daughters. And of course, you want your daughters to have beautiful teeth.
Yeah.
And so you're going around teaching them about oral hygiene because you're a dentist,
Right.
because you love teeth. And then all of a sudden now your 13-year-old doesn't want you to listen to your pep talks about teeth anymore. We're going to barf it out to
That's
her?
that's
No,
pretty usual.
you're going to have
Right.
to realize, like, hey, remember Triton, remember King Triton, remember Moana. Like, rules without relationship leads to rebellion. Just because you
Yeah.
have all this knowledge, this goes back to where I was going to answer your question. If you end up barfing your knowledge upon kids, your own children, or if you end up putting around strict rules around them, you might be parenting in your own fear or in your own ego or in your own selfishness, which is actually all the same thing.
Yeah.
Now that is deep right there. So I tried to help this man understand, like, I really think you're parenting in a lot of fear and a lot of selfishness. And he's like, wow, I think you're right. Like,
A lot of us are.
yeah,
We don't realize it. I
we
think
don't
you're right.
realize it. We just think we're trying to protect our kids. So, like, what do you think would be? I'll answer you this question, then I'll answer myself. Let's say your daughter's Moana. She's this strong alpha female,
Yeah.
adventure to the max,
Venture
curious,
wants to
and
help
she's
her
so
tribe.
strong. She's such a powerful leader. She's willing to put her life on the line as a teenage girl. Same with Anna. She could have died in the snow.
Right.
Belle goes off into the forest without looking for her dad, or surrounded by wolves. She could have asked Gaston for help. She could have asked one of her girlfriends, come with me. These three girls go off into the wilderness, and they could have all died. So let's just imagine we're Moana's dad. What could we have done differently with Moana?
Well, it's like we all want our daughters or our children to be that type of person. But sometimes when they actually want to go do something, you're scared. Like, hey, I want to go backpacking for a month into a different country. I'm going to go down to Mexico, or, and you're just like, okay, hey, I love that adventure side of you. I think that's amazing. But as a dad, I got to figure out how to teach you about how dangerous the world can be right now. Because ultimately I want to say, well, let me just go with you and I'll just hop on and I won't bother you. We've heard that so many times.
I'll be your best friend, me and you, 19.
I'll trail behind you. You won't even know I'm there. Okay. You can go do your own stuff. I just want to watch out for you. But that never works.
Right.
That's not happening. So it's like, we got to teach them as much as we can and give them the freedom to go and do it, I guess.
I want to pick a fight with you real quick. You said something about 30 seconds ago that was so wrong.
Okay, good.
You were so wrong. I'm building you up and bashing you at this episode. When you said we all want our children to do that, you're wrong. There's a lot of parents listening, and they do not want their children to be adventurous because they're scared. Yeah. Me and you, we're backpackers, we're adventurers, we're hunter-gatherers, we're surfers, we're outdoorsmen. But no, there's a lot of very scared parents out there that are listening right now, and they do not want their kids to do that because they are so scared of them getting hurt.
Man, that's hard, and that's sad, because you want to have a strong person, because how else do you survive this world without it? Let's just talk to those people right now. You're not always going to be there to watch out for them. One day you're going to pass on, and they're going to be by themselves, or they're going to leave the house and be on their own.
Which is why I think this episode is actually very valuable, because Triton was very scared, and he was parenting in fear. Moana's dad was parenting his fear. Let's get on the list. Marlin was a traumatized man, because
he had a traumatic experience, which
his
makes
wife
sense,
died, and like 1,000 of his babies died,
right?
And only one survived.
Right.
Free Willy. I had never seen that movie. So how was that kid or the parents traumatized?
Well, that one's a little different, because they adopt a troubled kid, and really the power struggle was the kid wasn't ready to have a family yet and feel loved. He didn't want that. He didn't understand how to feel loved. And so he was still in the bad lifestyle that got him in trouble. And the parents were like, listen, we have rules. Like, you come home, you go to bed under our roof, you have dinner with us. We want to be a family. And he's like, no, I don't want that. I've been by myself this whole time. And so there was this power struggle there, where then he would always sneak out. He stole his dad's car, but ultimately he found this animal that he cared for. Yeah. And ultimately the parents had to help the kid rescue Willie, because Willie was getting kidnapped.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So much of our parenting is our bad parenting is actually rooted in fear. I Googled the number one love story of all time. Do you take a guess? What did Google tell me the number one movie? Number one love story of all time is?
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet. If you, their parents are parenting them in fear. They said you're not allowed to, the Capulets and the whatever, they're not allowed to see each other. And these are more teenage stories of rebellion against strict rules. So what we've got to realize is that when it comes to our power struggles, we've got to do work on ourselves and ask ourselves, okay, how can I wiggle here? How can I be flexible? How can I not take the bait? How can I work with this child? Good. Am I parenting in fear? Sometimes I'll say to my clients, I was like, okay, I think with this kid, we've got to bend this. You got to be more flexible with this kid. I'm like, oh, I know. It's just scary, Sean. I don't know. And I'm scared of being judged. What happens to my family members? Like, why do you let this kid do this? And I say, look, I don't know if this is helpful, but sometimes you got to think to yourself in those moments, like, anyone who's coming to you and judging you, you just think to yourself, like, just shut the hell up. You have no idea what I've been through with this teenager. Shut the hell up. Do not judge me. Like I am trying to pick my battles here. And yes, I've given up some battles so I can win the big ones. But I love this kid. I don't want to lose them. And that's kind of what probably Moana's dad should have said. Like that he should have been creative with Moana to let her adventure around the island or different islands. She should have said, "I'll go with you," or "You're allowed to go here and there, but you've got to bring a friend, or you can come here, then you got to come back." And then people would be like, "Moana's dad, what are you doing, man? You're a bad leader. Your daughter's wild. You're out of control.
Right.
You know your daughter could die out there. It's going to be your fault." And then Moana's dad should be like, "Shut the hell up. You have no idea what we're dealing with here. I love my girl. I know my girl, and you don't. And I've got to parent the child I have, not the child I want right now." I
Yeah.
don't think that'll make it in Moana Part 2, but
No, but that was good. That was really good. I mean, I
yeah,
don't know if anyone's ever heard that reality or that like smack in the face tip over like we all have those judgmental family members or friends. And I don't think anyone's ever told us like it's okay for you to tell them to shut the hell up. Like,
yeah,
oh wait, you're right. Why do
yeah.
I
You
care
sure
so much
can.
about what they think?
Yeah, you sure can. Because of fear. You're afraid. Again,
Yeah.
that's another example. So
Yeah.
much of our problems have to do with fear. I mean, I'm not just talking about this too. I've made some decisions that are more flexible or lenient with my kids. And sometimes I parent fear because I'm afraid that if I'm not flexible, then my kids are going to rebel. I'm afraid that if I don't accommodate them, then they won't like me.
Hmm.
And that can lead me at times to do more passive or permissive parenting, which is because I don't want the power struggle. So that's like the flip side of the coin. We're talking about Triton Marlin today, but oftentimes if there's a lack of power struggle in the house, it means the parent is so passive and they're afraid of conflict. Does that
I mean,
make sense? That
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, the hard part is sometimes we don't know what we're supposed to do. Ultimately, we need someone to tell us, hey, this is what you should do. But that might not be the
Mhm.
best advice. So it's like
Yeah.
we've got,
Yeah.
you know, a decision to make in that moment, and then we're hoping it's the right one. Your girls are like, hey, we want to do this, and you feel like you don't want to lose them, so you're like, sure, okay, that's fine. When maybe you should have said no, but then who knows what would have happened? We don't have a fortune
Who
teller.
knows? Who knows? Well,
Yeah.
let me give everybody an amazing tool here today. It's one of my favorite tools of all time. I have a list that I give all of my clients in the VIP membership. It's a big parent packet, and there's a page on there which is called Sean's Top 10 Parenting Tools. This is not on the top 10, but it might be one day because it's so good. When you hear the term magic wand, Jordan, what do you think of?
Ooh, 3 wishes. I could fix anything in an instant. Um, cure all. If you have a magic wand, you can make anything happen.
It's kind of cool that we keep talking about Disney movies today because
Not just Disney, but it's just any. Yeah, I mean, it could
movies.
be.
What movies use a magic wand that you're aware of?
Well, there's this movie that didn't get a lot of pub that I really like. It's with Will Smith. It's called Bright on Netflix.
Oh,
They have a magic wand in that one. You've
great movie,
got.
by the way. Yeah, it
I
doesn't
love
want to get
that
a pub.
movie.
That was
I
like a
like it.
COVID movie that all came out.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
there was like
that's
nothing
right.
else to watch. Everybody watched Bright. Yes. You know, a movie I just saw with Will Smith is changing the subject is that King movie about the
Oh
Serena
yeah,
sisters,
yeah.
Serena Williams and Venus Williams. Gosh, that's a great movie.
Is it? I never
It's on
saw it. I should see
Netflix.
that
Oh
one.
my gosh, King Richard. Okay,
Yep,
what
King
else?
Richard.
Another movie.
What
So
about
Cinderella. I think Cinderella
Cinderella?
is the OG
Yeah,
original gangster magic wand movie.
it's because
It's
of
like
her fairy godmother had
fairy
the magic wand.
godmother. So here's what
But
I found.
what about
Yeah.
Avengers? His magic wand is the gauntlet where he snaps his fingers and erases half the world.
Okay. Yep.
So the
Never.
gauntlet is kind of like a magic wand.
It is. So what a magic wand is this ability to like and then boom, magic things happen.
Right.
So what I have found is that I want everyone to open up your parenting toolbox right now, and I'm going to put this tool in your toolbox. That there's these magic wand statements that you can say to your kids, and it will help in the heat of the moment to diffuse power struggles. It'll help you to win power struggles. It'll help you to co-create a win-win so there is no more power struggles. And so here's like the gist of like what a magic wand sentence is. First, I'll tell you like the psychology of a magic wand statement, okay? And then I'll give you some examples. A magic wand statement acknowledges someone's power. So it like acknowledges your kid's power. It's a diffusing response. It reminds everyone of like their own personal responsibility. It helps them, your kid, to feel powerful and free. It builds teamwork. It creates negotiation skills. It stops the power struggles right there. It fosters teamwork and obedience and harmony and win-wins. That was a little mouthy, so I should have probably started with the examples first. So let me give you some examples, all right? All right. I use these all the time with my own kids. This is so good. Here we go. So imagine yourself, you're in the heat of the moment. Moana and her dad, Triton and Ariel, and the parent says this, hey, let's not let this come between us. Let's keep working at this together. Right? Let me give you another example.
Okay.
And then you tell me let me give you like 10 examples, and then you tell me what the themes are that you see, right?
Okay.
Hey, I'm not ready to talk about this anymore, Moana, but you're really important to me, and I want to continue to work on this together, just not right now. I'm going to do that. I'm going to throw in their character names. Hey, hey, Ariel, you know the rules. Ariel, you know the rules. You got to do what you think's best. I would rather not discipline you, but these are the rules.
Okay.
And if you feel like, I'll throw this in. If you feel like breaking the rules, well, then talk to me. Talk to me about it if you feel like you're about to, because it means I need to adjust the rules. Right?
Ooh, okay. That's I didn't know you were going to go down that route. That's a good route to go down.
Because I threw an arrow, I feel like I had to throw in that other one, right?
Well, I mean, it brings it to like a human element. Like, yeah, maybe they are too strict.
Let's go.
Maybe they're not, but maybe you can still talk about
it. Hey, Nemo, no, you cannot go touch the butt. No, that is not going to work for me. That's not going to work for me. But hey, if you feel like you're about to go out there and like get really pissed off and just go, well, then talk to me about it. Let's see if we can figure out a win-win.
Okay. Let's figure out a way we can make this work together.
Hey, Moana, no, you can't go and do that. Nope, you can't just go off for a 7-day journey. No, but how can I help? This is clearly very important to you. So how can I help? Right?
That's good.
Right. Next one. I trust you to make the right decision.
Yeah, there's that trust word again. That's a good one.
I trust you to make the right decision. There's another one. Hey, you're in control here. You're in control. No one can control you, Ariel. We have strong rules in this family, and you are in control of yourself. But you got to do what you think's best. Right? That's the boundary. I'm not changing it. There's a reason why it's there. You need to do what you think's best.
Okay.
Hey, Ariel, I don't want you to feel controlled. I don't want you to feel controlled. If you're feeling controlled, then come and talk to me, and I'll see what we can do to work together. And that may not mean I change the rule today, but if it's something that's really important to you, then maybe we can make a plan. Make a plan together, right?
These are all really good.
Okay, they are? They are? You like them?
I think so. I'm going to have to try and remember them in the moment. That's the hard part.
So what's the
like
gist?
remembering them in the moment to not take the bait? Oh, it's like I need to write that on my arm. Like anytime I look down, oh yeah, don't take the bait.
What do you, so what's the gist? How would you describe like the synopsis of these magic wand statements? Did you
you are letting them know that they do have a say, although it's not as much as your say, but you're willing to listen to what they want, right? And maybe adjust the rules. And also using time as an element to like, let's keep thinking about this and not make an irrational decision right now.
That's one of the tools from last episode was about a tool called the psychology of hope.
Yes.
So you know what? Hey, Nemo, you're really into going off the cliff and touching.
Well, he wants to go to school, and Marlon wouldn't even let him go to school. Like,
yeah. So let's make a deal. If you agree to never go off the cliff, give me your word. Then I will let you go to school.
Yeah.
So do we have a win-win here?
Right.
Right. So see that we've got to work together with our kids. So like Moana, let's make a deal. How about you are allowed to go on a 3-day journey, but you've got to bring your uncle with you and a friend. 3 days. And then you come back and check in. And tell me how it goes. Is that a deal? Does that work for you? See, we just got to work. And so right now there's people listening and they're coming up with 10,000 questions. Well, Sean, what about my 12-year-old wants to go to a concert by themselves? My 17-year-old wants to vape. My kid wants to play tackle football and I don't want to.
Yep.
So if you have any tools or help with that, you can join me in my VIP membership and I will give you a lot of coaching, one-on-one coaching on how to really navigate through these tough kids, power struggles. But you know what? Love and magic wands are good things.
Keep that in the top drawer, man. The magic wand, the way you said those, remembering them in the moment is going to be key. And I think it's going to help a lot. I can already picture conversations with my kids going forward. If I were to throw that terminology in there, it's going to go a long way.
I'm thankful that we have strong-willed kids because it's these kids who are fun to parent and they're adventurous and they bring out the best in us. They bring out the worst in us, but they also bring out the best. And they're fun to be around because they're brave and they're courageous and they're strong and they speak up and they speak their mind. So Jordan, I'm thankful for all the strong-willed kids in the world that are in my home, and because I've got 3 of them, and everywhere.
I'm thankful for words. It's the funniest thing to be thankful for. But the power of words and how we use them can change everything. Like what you did today was teach us about ultimately what we're trying to do as parents, but we're just using different words to get there. Yes. And it's going to make them feel more powerful and us feel more successful as parents. Use your words wisely. That's what I'm thankful